This is the Fantasy Roadshow.
Roadies, what's going on? Welcome into another episode of the Fantasy Roadshow with your boys here. You can call me Truck, and I'm joined, as always, by the infamous Shane O'Mac and another appearance. Hopefully this is on a regular basis. We got 2 in a row now. We're getting a streak going here, Shane. We're joined, as always, by Cole's Sports. Cole's, Shane, how you guys doing? What'd you say?
I said 3 in a row now.
Well, yeah, counting the Start Sit Sunday, which, by the way, we're going live every Sunday for the Start Sit live on YouTube and Twitter. Follow us, check us out at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time on Twitter and YouTube. But yes, Coles, how you doing?
Hearing the song "Bring Us In" reminds me of the old days when we were just like in dark rooms dancing, and
we had no intro, and it was just us dancing to our intro music. Yeah, that was fun. Fun stuff. Shane, how you doing?
Celsius.
Dude, oh my God, the Celsius pops.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We might have to bring that
going back
for an episode one day when it's not 4 p.m. in the afternoon and we can,
Yes. But it is week 3, and we are here to talk Sunday, or not Sunday Start Sit. We were talking red light, green light Start Sits for the week. Week 2 was a little crazy. We got a lot of quarterbacks getting injured. I think there's potentially 5 backup quarterbacks going to be playing this week. We'll see. You still need information on Jaden Daniels and a few others out there, but we're already getting into the nitty gritty where we got to find some correct starts. So we're here to tell you guys exactly who to put in your lineup. But before we get into our red light, green light, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on socials, and check out the Substack, thefantasyroadshow.substack.com. It wouldn't be a red light, green light if Shane didn't kick it off for us. So Shane, give us your red light quarterback of the week 3, please.
So I am red lighting Jared Goff. It's gonna seem crazy, if you have 5 touchdowns and over 300 yards. But now it's a couple bad things. Now it's time for road golf, and road golf is not as fun as home golf. On the road in week 1, he was outside the top 20. And then I went back and I looked, like last year on the road, he was, had 5 performances where he was QB 20 or worse. And then the last time he played in Baltimore, no passing touchdowns. He took 5 sacks. He was QB 25 for the week. I just think this is a major letdown week for that offense and for Goff.
Yeah, I would agree with you. He's on my list as well. I'll take it a step further. It's not just the last time he played the Ravens. He's played the Ravens 3 times in his career. He has thrown 0 touchdowns. He's thrown 3 interceptions. He's not good against the Ravens. And, he's playing outdoors. We all know about outdoor golf versus indoor golf. Shane, you're absolutely right there. So, Goff is a sit for me this week. Red light.
I love it. So Shane, I love when he starts off. This is going to sound crazy because, I just, after talking with Shane so much, I know how much he loves the outdoor or road golf trend. so may sound crazy to someone listening or first time listener, but knowing Shane,
it's a common theme.
Do you guys remember the Amari Cooper home road?
Oh yeah, Amari Cooper was the same thing. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's hard to argue that trend.
I love that. That's your guys' pick there, and it is. I will say from just viewing, looking you can. I'll give you a devil's advocate here. Is the people that will push back on that take is going to say Lions just put up 52. Ravens have given up 41. The Browns offense was moving the ball against the Ravens defense. So that would be the devil's advocate. The over under is at 52.5. Biggest will very well be a shootout. We don't know, but that gives you something serious to think about is what Shane just listed. Right. So I think that is really interesting to me. Putting him on the red light because I would have thought my take on this game, I'm going to have to revisit it and look into some of that stuff, is Ravens defense kind of starts out slow, and this game could be a shootout. So we're gonna find out. That one got me a little bit. For sure.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, it's Detroit. Look, they're capable of scoring 30+ points at any given game, but just looking at the history with Goff, and that's why
the other
I'm quoting the Ravens.
So 52.5 is the thing that I was looking at, right? And then,
yeah,
and then the offense is what they've done to Baltimore defense so far, but then you put in like how trendy primetime unders are and have been. Like, could it end up being one of those games that surprise you where Ravens are running the ball a lot, doing those 8-minute drives?
Yeah, the moment you said 52 was the over-under, I'm thinking the moment you said that, I'm like, I'm playing the under. I'm just like, because looking at that, the way that Goff has played the Ravens, just kind of screams under for me. But regardless, Coles, why don't you go ahead and give us your red light quarterback of the week?
Another note I wanted to make was that was not Shane O'Mac shocker of the week. So
something big
is coming.
Okay, fair enough.
My pick is going to be pretty shocking, I think, to both of you guys. My red light quarterback is Baker Mayfield. He's at home against the Jets too. Like, if you're just skimming through games, and you've seen what the Bucs have done this year, you're like, Bucs are going to take care of business. Jets have they've given up 30 to the Steelers. Like, that's what it looks like, right? Baker is potentially a little banged up. Their offensive line is
he was getting hammered in that game. He was just getting pounded. That left knee.
He's such a gamer that, like, he'd rather talk shit to CJ than realize the injury that he has on the field. And then that adrenaline carries him through the game. And he's just a gamer. He's a total baller.
Yeah.
Well, now that knee gets a little stiff throughout the week, their offensive line is banged up. And, like, as you've seen with some of these teams, the Texans being one of them, the Vikings, when their offensive line is not playing well, throw everything out of the window. Right. So I could just see, like, this being, not to mention the Bucs also play down the competition. So I can see, like, that defense stepping up, not wanting to go 0-3 and not necessarily going in there and winning that game. But I think it could be one of those gross, low scoring games where Bulls has to really tighten up on defense. Jets are playing good defense. And Baker struggles a little bit. We'll see what his health looks like later in the week, but the offensive line's banged up. There's no, that's where I think Quinnen Williams can go to work. They have some good pass rushers there that can really give Baker, trouble.
Yeah, line's not only banged up, but Mecca Ibuka is banged up. He's got a groin injury.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
On Wednesday, he didn't practice. His status is kind of still unknown. You got Sauce Gardner shadowing Mike Evans. So
yeah, like you saw what Stingley did there to Mike Evans. I think he was targeted 9 times with 4 catches and 30-something yards. Sauce can play that game. I just think, like you mentioned, Ibuka opens up that offense so much. If that running game isn't humming like it was against the Texans, they're going to struggle to move the ball. So Baker's on my red light.
I can also see a situation where the game script kind of goes where the Bucs kind of go up early. Tyrod and the Jets are going to have struggles with that defense, and then they're just not. The Bucs just aren't pressing it downfield. So I could see that being a situation as well. So I mean, this is Baker's second week on the red light list. I don't love that because I love Baker and he's just such a stud on the football field. But quarterback 15 last week. 12 the week before, so he's been playing decent ball, but yeah, I can understand why you put him on there.
Yeah.
My other red light quarterback, since Shane took my number one option, is going to be Geno Smith. Look, I mean, he got completely shut down this last week versus the Chargers. He's got a tough matchup in Washington. In their last 9 home games, they've allowed an average of just 13 fantasy points to quarterbacks. The Washington defense has at playing at home. So I don't know what your situation is at quarterback with all these quarterbacks getting injured, but
yeah,
I would not be starting Geno Smith. So that's just a caveat,
Yeah, you're probably only starting him if it's a super flex league anyways. If you're a Geno Smith hater, I'm not saying that I am, but that is a victory lap type game that he had last week. Like the Raiders didn't play that bad outside of how horrible Geno was.
Yeah.
So if this becomes a team that wins and loses with Geno Smith, depending on how he plays, that's tough sledding for the Raiders. Like, Sam Darnold is almost that way. I think with Seattle, it's like he's going to have to show up and play a pretty good game for them to win. I'm not a big fan of Geno, and I think he does have weapons, but he has not figured it out at all to start the year.
Yeah. All right. So we'll move on to green light quarterbacks. I'll start this segment off with a hometown kid. Caleb Williams is going to be my green light quarterback of the week. Playing at home in Chicago versus the Dallas Cowboys. Look, in reality, Caleb has been inconsistent through 2 weeks and frustrating, very frustrating.
In football on the field,
that's what I mean. That's why I said in reality. On the field, he's been inconsistent and frustrating. But in fantasy, it's actually the other way around. He's scored over 24 points in both games. Look, he's averaged 42 and a half rushing yards per game. He's been getting it done with his legs and pretty consistently. He's got a great matchup against the Cowboys. We saw what Russ did in that shootout last week, 450 yards and 3 touchdowns. I'm going to go on a limb and say this might be Caleb Williams' best game ever far. Like this
he had that 5 touchdown game in year 1, didn't he? I forget which it was.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think you're right. He had one game where it was a massive
insane.
But I think this week we see another version of Caleb where he starts to change that narrative a little bit. I'm really hoping, because this game is going to be a sneaky high scoring game. I really like this one. I think the over under is 49.5, so it's not that sneaky of a high scoring game, but I like both offenses, and both defenses are very subpar. Shane, you would agree with that?
Yeah, I think, you get a second straight week where the Cowboys are starting a slot corner that just signed off the street that had no NFL experience. Like last week, Wan'Dale Robinson has his best game of his career by far.
Massive game.
He's running those routes out of the slot spot, go routes, and just toasting guys they just signed. And then conversely, I agree. I think Dallas and Dak moves the ball quite a bit. Bears lose Jalen Johnson. They lose 2 linebackers also this week.
Yeah.
So this is a great game to have both quarterbacks going. And I think the thing I like about Caleb is the increase of rushing stats he's providing. Like he's running and providing a very rushing.
Yeah, even a rush.
So funny when he rushes sometimes when he's trying to escape the pass rush.
Hey, he's shifty. He gets it done.
Great. He's great.
Yeah.
And I had him in my top 5 fantasy quarterback this year, preseason, and like after 2 games that are not great football wise, and he's doing that well fantasy wise, like he just has those cheat codes, and now he's got the offensive mastermind to kind of support the big time production that his talent clearly has. Caleb's on my green light list as well. Also Mahomes. Like I just think Mahomes is going to come out and have a just beautiful Mahomes game. 3 straight losses, first time in his career. I know, as I mentioned on Start Sit, I was like, we both picked the Eagles, and I was like, he's never lost 3 straight games, but he's never played the Eagles in 2 out of those 3 games.
Yeah.
And he finally gets like a revenge game against the Giants team who's just not very good. I think the only thing that limits him from having like an absolutely nuclear game is if Spags just completely shuts down the Giants offense and they're up big late. But if they move the ball at all and score and keep this a 2-score game, into the 4th, I think Mahomes has like you mentioned with Caleb, 350, 3 touchdowns. He doesn't have the weapons, but he's just going to do like and Mahomes rushing, you guys mentioned that with Caleb. This is almost the same exact conversation as we just had, so I won't go any
almost
further.
a step further. Like, Patty
Because
Mahomes
he doesn't have those
been
weapons,
running.
he's extending and drives with his legs a lot more. So that's what you're seeing. You don't have that easy drop off to Rice and he goes for 15 anymore. So he's taking that 15 with his legs. Those are the two guys I had marked down. I think both teams win the game and put up big time points against pretty bad defenses that you saw face off against one another last week.
Yeah. Shane, what do you got?
I had Caleb and I had Mahomes. I think the only thing that one I'm going to mention is that I would start when we reference benching Jared Goff. I would start Daniel Jones over Jared Goff this year. I think it's just time to buy
all year.
Yeah, this year. But I think Daniel Jones is probably now in that top 10 each week, mostly consideration. You're starting him over guys that you didn't think you would be starting him on. I was really impressed. I think he had 24 points against a Denver defense that's supposed to be pretty salty. He's becoming an automatic rushing touchdown scorer when they get down to the one. They're just going to him multiple times. I'm not too scared about the Titans defense. I saw Stafford. I think he had 22 points against them. So Jones is just that guy I would sub in for certain guys with not as good as matchups.
Yeah, Daniel Jones is actually playing really good against the blitz too. Like I saw a segment where it was highlighting all of his plays and his stats against the blitz, and he's playing really good football. So, I completely agree with that. I mean, with guys I'd start over. I like Caleb, I like Dak, I like Mahomes. I think Bo Nix and Drake May are great starts this week. I would start all those guys over the Goff, the Geno, Bryce Young, Trevor Lawrence, Matthew Stafford. Those are just kind of my shorthanded answers for that.
Yeah.
You don't have no idea how excited it makes me to hear you talk about Daniel Jones that way.
Yeah, Coles is on quite the victory lap here with Geno having a 3-point game and Daniel Jones being Anthony Richardson, not a
Tank Bigsby, not an NFL running back.
Yeah, Coles is on a heater right now with his all of his calls from years ago, so they're coming to fruition. But either way, we can move on. Let's go over to running backs. Shane, go ahead and start us off with a red light running back for week 3.
Well, this should
Shane
be
O'Mac, shocker of the week.
I hate when you do red shockers for a red light running back because I know it's going to be like a top 5 guy.
So he's not top 5, but I think it's a guy people are just going to automatically start based off of where they're drafting him. And I'm going to name off tons of guys afterwards, that you should play ahead of him, but you should put Kyron Williams on your bench this week.
Ooh.
And do not start him. And I think probably he's going to have a start percentage still 90% if I was guessing. And when we look this time next week, there's just 2 things I don't like. Number one, and probably the biggest, is just the opponent. Like the Eagles are dominant in the run. Even you at that Javonte Williams game, fantasy points in week 1, but don't be fooled by that. Like they got down to the 1 on a pass interference, and they got down on the 1 on a CeeDee Lamb.
No Jalen Carter.
Pushed out of, and no Jalen Carter. So he got the 2 touchdowns, but still they held Javonte Williams under 3.5 yards per carry in that game. We just saw the Eagles hold Kareem Hunt and Pacheco to like 50 combined yards in week 2. Second thing is I think, and based off of what their head coach is saying, you're going to see a little bit more than everyone expected of Blake Corum being worked in.
100%.
He got, I think it was 5 rush attempts. He ran more routes.
Goal line carry, touchdown.
Goal line carry, touchdown. He turned 5 rush attempts into 45 yards rushing. And Bay came out and said he wanted to get him more involved. So, there's guys like Javonte Williams. I'm starting over him. I'm starting Jaylen Warren over him. Somebody else when we get to the that I'll start over. I think he's just got to be on your.
This is the first time this has ever happened, I think.
No.
Wait.
Shane O'Mac, shocker of the week.
So when I was putting my list together, I basically will put out a bunch of people that I really like, just in case if you guys bring one up, I can pivot and go to something else.
Mm-hmm.
There was one person on the list that I was like, no one's going to take him. And like, even if they do, I feel very strongly about this pick. And that is also Kyron Williams on red light. And it's not only because of everything you just mentioned, which a lot of those, a lot of the points I do have are those. This Rams team has won 9 out of their last 11 games, and those 2 losses are to the Eagles. Some teams just like have other teams number, they have that formula that just, it's their Achilles heel. And the way that the Eagles play football, the Rams just have a tough time matching up against them. Is it the athleticism and the speed that they have on defense that kind of like stunts what they like to do on offense by getting the ball to a guy like Cooper Kupp, now Puka Nacua, Devontae? They're so fast, and Stafford's not a very mobile, fast quarterback. So if you can get to him quickly and then force the ball out, it gives that offense a lot of trouble. And then you add in the run defense, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, those linebackers who are all so athletic, everything that Shane was mentioning, that I second that opinion. I'm fully on board with that Kyron pick. So yeah, good call there on Shocker of the Week. I don't know that any of us has copied your Shocker of the Week before.
I think it's happened once or twice previously. I think I've hit one before, but that's impressive because I definitely don't have Kyron Williams on my list, but everything you guys are saying makes a lot of sense. So my red light running back for the week is Quinshon Judkins. Look, people are going to want to start him because they drafted him pretty high early on in the season and then took a shot on him later on in the draft season. He came in, he played a lot more snaps than I thought he was going to play this last week. I think he had, I forget, 19 snaps, where I just didn't think he was going to be in that range. So, look, he had 10 carries for 61 yards. He looked decent, but he also looked like the main guy for the Browns, to the point where calls in our league, I see people dropping Dylan Sampson, which is, I don't think you should be doing that just yet. But look, this is just going to be a second game. He wasn't participating during training camp. I don't expect his carries to go up dramatically. Green Bay is a top tier defense. They're allowing an average of 7 points to running backs through 2 games. So look, Judkins is staying on the bench regardless of the way he looked in week 1. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, my concise take is just going to be Packers defense, and I don't need to say anything else.
Very true. Very true. All right. So are we good to move on to green light running backs?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go ahead and start with one. Shane, you had mentioned actually both of my guys on the ones that you would start over your red light running back. And my main one is going to be Jaylen Warren at the Patriots. Warren's a huge part of the Steelers offense. Through 2 weeks, he's caught 12 passes on 15 targets. The Patriots are allowing the 4th most catches and receiving yards to running backs through 2 games. So look, PPR leagues, he's an auto start, but just even in half point PPR, this guy's a set it and forget it in the flex spot. I have him in a couple leagues, and I just can't take him out of the starting lineup.
I love that pick. Just because I didn't even really have it on my radar, and I agree with it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a 2-person backfield also. Like, I feel like people thought Caleb Johnson was going to be a thing, and that's not going to happen. Right?
Yeah, Coles, what did you say to me the
fingers.
other day? Coles, what did you say to me the other day?
I think I texted Truck, and I was like, you're not going to like hearing this. And I said, Caleb Johnson might not be an NFL player. He just doesn't even look like an NFL player. Like, when you see him out there, you're like, this guy looks lost. He looks small. He's not he's just, I don't think he's going to be any good. Everyone was so desperate to make that Najee comparison because it was such an easy one to make. Najee played running back at Alabama. I don't know if he won a national championship, but I would just take a wild guess that he did. And, he's 5-star recruit. Like, he's just, I'm not a Caleb Johnson guy. And his competition is Gainwell. Like Gainwell's not going to be any more than we already know what Gainwell is. A little scat back that complements, a runner. Warren's, if they want to make plays, it's going to be with Warren. So, I like that pick. Patriots are soft. They did. Christian Gonzalez did practice today, but in the run game, that shouldn't be a problem. But
yeah, I'm starting Jalen Warren and Javonte Williams over guys like Tyrone Tracy, Bill, Krosky Merritt, Pacheco, Pollard, Judkins. Dude, what's going on with Tyrone Tracy? Like he's taking a full backseat to this offense. It looks like Scatterbo might be taking the job from him. What do you guys think?
I'm going to say no there. I'm not ready to call Scatterbo a much more than a, I don't know, 40% back.
I'm just saying Tyrone Tracy's looked very bad through 2 weeks.
Yeah,
even when the Giants are scoring points in a shootout, Tracy's just not a part of that.
The one thing for sure, he's not going to have the goal line opportunities. So
yeah, for sure not. And their best offensive lineman is injured. The offense just has a new quarterback and they just don't look good as a team. And Tyrone Tracy is a system running back, if you want to call it that. He's not even, he's a wide receiver turned running back that like does some things very well, but he's not, a Breece Hall that can give you good games on a bad team and a bad offense.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
Where that issue comes in. But
I just thought when I wrote down his name, I was like, Jesus Christ, what's going on through 2 weeks? So, Shane, what do you got?
For
green light running back.
Green light. All right, I am, and I had this guy written down even before the news broke earlier this week, but it's Jordan Mason. I think I would have had him even if Aaron Jones was playing, but now we know that Aaron Jones is on IR. He misses the next 4 weeks. This is it's a great setup. The Bengals defense has just been awful. We just saw them allow over 5 yards of carry to the Jags backs in week 2, and they allowed 2 receiving touchdowns. They're bottom 3 defense and fantasy points allowed to running backs. And I think maybe even with now Carson Wentz starting, they lean more on this running game, knowing they are in turn playing against a back that they just can kind of control the clock. And Mason gets fed. He's easily over 20 plus touches. I like him over like guys like Tony Pollard, any rookie running back, not named Ashton Genty, and Genty's probably pretty close. I think he's a top team running back this week.
Yeah, I agree.
I have him on mine. I have some other names. Like to me, that's a home run pick, right? Like
yes, it's the start of the week for sure.
Yeah, like I think that's an easy pick. Like we saw what the Bengals offense or defense is and is going to be. The only running back in the Vikings offense that we saw have success running the ball so far is Mason. He looked great against the Bears. That's kind of how they got that turnaround against the Bears late started, was through Mason on the ground. So not only do you have like the ability, just the matchup, but like his ability alone to get the offense moving and starting to like really work. And then you add in that Carson Wentz is the quarterback. They're going to be more reliant on the run game in general. He's going to get it going, and this is his shot to show that I'm a bell cow and I can lead an offense and I'm the real deal. And we saw that a little bit when he was with the Niners. A lot of people thought it was just the system, but we're starting to see that it's also his talent. I think guy in his prime, in a great spot, looking to prove himself, and they're going to be leaning on him. It's just going to be a smash all the way around. I have Ken Walker / Zach Charbonnet.
Okay.
I think like Saints have not been able to stop the run, and the Seahawks are at home. I think the Seahawks are a lot better of a team than like we realize yet, and they're going to kind of stick to what they do really well and double down on that, and it's going to be the running game. And I think you're going to see it this week where both of them look really good, and you're going to see like what that offense can look like, with both of them making big time plays and then Darnold keeping things very risk averse and just kind of getting the ball to JSN and letting him go. So, Darnold's not someone that needs to be slinging it around like Geno used to. He just needs to be, delivering the ball in low risk situations and then leaning on that run game against a horrible team that has not been able to stop the run. So I think I'd be starting Walker, obviously, like, where you drafted him, you want to start him anyways, but Charbonnet is like one of those fringe guys that I would start him over. I don't know, Bill, you mentioned Bill. I'd be starting him over him. I'm going to have to get better at listing that before episodes. Honestly, maybe even Omari and Hampton, I don't have any reason to talk about Najee this episode, but like, I think Najee looks better than Omari and Hampton. I wouldn't be surprised if Hampton owners are going to be pretty disappointed. Almost like Harvey owners, where like, maybe this isn't the year because Najee's going to look better. He's got more experience. That team's winning games. They're going to go with the running back that's playing best at the time. They're not going to be developing a rookie who doesn't look as good as someone like Najee. So pick up Najee. That's all I have to say there.
Yeah, I mean, we could do a whole segment on like how stressed are you about the player that you drafted, because there's a few guys like Hampton that you just said, like the people that drafted him in the 3rd or 4th round are shitting their pants right now with the way that he's performed the first 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and
here's a new tip: don't draft rookie running backs at their ceiling.
Yeah.
The rookies, you could just do the blanket statement of
I mean, even Genty, like I was really expecting the last game I was talking to Coles about it. I really was expecting Genty to kind of break out and for us to see that game, and we didn't see it. There
draft
was
high upside running backs based on their ADP. Tootin, he was someone who was before the season, like, how is he going to see the field? He's RB3. Well, they really liked him. He had a lot of positive coach speak, and they figured out a way to get him on the field. He's about to explode. ETN looks good too, but Tootin, like, you could just see how versatile he is on the field. And now you're going to want to be having drafted him before, some of those earlier guys based on ADP and what their production is going to be this year.
Yeah, I love that I have Tootin in the Fantasy Roadshow Dynasty League with my team. He's a great piece for my team. So love that. All right. So
we need to start every time we bring up Tootin, we need to save a little one for it and just Tootin.
Toot. I'll get a drop going for Tootin.
I'm going to get a live drop on Tootin soon.
Okay. All right. I'll clip that.
And then we'll do a little segment on bidet to clean it up with.
I saw a tweet. They're like, we have a backfield combination of Chubb and Woody, and it's like nobody even cares.
That's a good one too. Yeah.
That's great. I didn't realize
as soon as I saw that tweet, I was like, wow.
That's a good one.
We're on a podcast. Yeah, we're on a podcast every week, and we didn't reference Chubb and Woody.
That's a good one.
Being in the same backfield. So shame on us. I just
talked about Tootin. He's also on my green light. So I had Mason, the Seahawks running back, and Tootin were guys that I'm gonna prematurely put Tootin in my lineups, and I think it's gonna pay out. I think I'm gonna be happy.
Who are they playing this week? Who do the Jags got?
Texans, and it's not really a great matchup, and I'm not super high on the Jags, but that's going to be a divisional battle where they're going to need production coming from somewhere. The passing game isn't really humming right now. Texans D's good. It hasn't been great like we've seen. I can see them working Tootin in, and if he breaks out a couple runs, just kind of leaning on him. I'm going to try to start him in some teams.
I love rooting for him. I love rooting for Tootin.
Like someone we hadn't mentioned as a red light, but like someone like Dobbins against the Chargers, I don't love that matchup, to be completely honest. Dobbins has been good, but like he's due for a stinker. I think I just don't think he's going to be consistently good all year. And I could see someone like me what I would normally do is always auto start Dobbins over someone like Tootin. Well, I might take a shot just because I can on some of my teams, because I've stacked my teams to where I can afford to put Tootin and strike out there when I think Dobbins is not going to have a good game or get one of his touchdowns that kind of saves his fantasy day. So, you know, in one of those full PPR leagues, might take a shot and put Tootin in there.
Yeah, I feel like the revenge narrative is getting played out just in general with fantasy football, but it is a revenge game for Dobbins. I just don't. I just don't like. Yeah, kind of.
I mean, like Dobbins.
That's what I mean, though. It's
like crazy career with the Chargers. You know.
No, I know, but anytime a player is playing their previous team, it's a revenge game. And there's now 20 revenge games each week. So it's like
here's where people are missing the mark, and I'm gonna call those people fucking idiots.
Okay.
A revenge game,
the first F drop of the year.
A revenge game is a revenge game is an emotionally charged game. They're coming in with something like they're a great player that is digging deep and pulling that inner dog in them out because of emotion. There are no negative
example
that Dobbins has with the Chargers.
Example, Justin Fields playing the Steelers, right? Sure. Emotional game where he thought, you know, you're disrespecting me. You don't think I'm good enough for the team. I'm going to show you. That's a revenge game.
Kind of, but like I would even go further. Like I don't know. I'm not going to pull one out of my ass right now, but like it's even further than that. That I see like a true revenge game. DK maybe against the Seahawks. I don't know. I would need to think about like a serious one.
Yeah. All right. We're getting off track. We're getting off track.
Just because they
probably my fault. That derailment. But let's go back into red light wide receivers. Shane, get us back on track. Give me your red light wide receiver for week 3.
I hate this one because I've got him in like multiple leagues, but I'm going to try to find a way to bench Tee Higgins this week. And I really did because I've got him in. So I went and pulled some data, and I want to make sure I'm referencing correct. But so in 7 games that Jake Browning's played, Tee Higgins in 4 of those games, he's played with Browning. He's only averaging, 5.5 targets, 3.5 receptions, 77 yards. And, in that 3rd game, Chase got hurt and missed half the game and then missed the 4th game. So he had a game and a half even without Chase with Jake Browning, and it wasn't great. I think you'll see Jake Browning, as most backups do, and he did last week, be super focused in on the wide receiver one, which will be Chase. I would start guys like Deebo Samuel if Jaden Daniels is playing. I'd start.
What about if Mariota's playing? Are you still starting Deebo?
I don't know about that. I'd have to honestly go and do some look of Mariota and stuff.
I saw that Daniels will not practice before Friday, and if he misses Friday, then there's a good chance he doesn't play.
I would need to go dig him. I feel like Mariota played pretty well last year, even throwing
system. I don't. So like I think he probably someone like Deebo is a better start than a Terry McLaurin, because like you can just kind of get him the ball quickly and let him do his thing.
Probably,
But
I agree.
I'd start Dave Flowers, George Pickens, both of those guys over
100%.
Tee Higgins.
Yeah, with Tee Higgins, when I was looking it up, because he's on my red light list as well. In those 5 games that he played with Browning, 2 years ago, he had 2 top 10 finishes. One of those
that was the one I was going to bring up. He had
2 top 10 finishes. One of those against the Minnesota Vikings, and I saw a clip. Browning. What used to play for the Vikings, and they cut him. And there was a clip of that game 2 years ago where he had just thrown a touchdown. He comes to the sideline, slams his head on the ground, or his helmet on the ground, looks at the camera and says, "You shouldn't have fucking cut me." It's just like, charged up. So speaking of revenge games,
but that game was in Cincinnati too. This is
very, very true. And the Vikings defense, I think, is better now than it was 2 years ago. So, with that being said, I still put him on
Vikings
my red light
D
list.
at home is like a real thing. You know what I
Yes.
mean? That's a real atmosphere. It's not a fucking cupcake Chicago Bears shit atmosphere. It's a real atmosphere that plays a factor in the game.
Yeah.
I was going to bring up that stat too, and I was going to mention that I don't know exactly the stat, so it's going to be just a bad segment, but it was like a wide receiver 9 and a wide receiver 6 finish or something like that, and then it was surprisingly better than like Chase's best finish. Again, don't know the exact stats, but that's I saw that as well. Yeah, I don't know. That's going to be an ugly game, I think. Just in general.
I agree.
Good Vikings defense, trust Mason, but I could see Carson Wentz actually being better than Browning, but who knows?
Carson Wentz probably have a Carson Wentz game where just all right, well, I guess he can still throw the ball. My red light wide receiver, other than Tee Higgins, I put down is going to be someone we talked pretty highly of last week when Coles brought him up, but it's Travis Hunter. Against the Houston Texans. Look, I mean, I thought we would see more of a breakout from Hunter through the first 2 games, but we have not really seen that. His snap percentage has dropped from week 1 to week 2. He only has a combined 55 yards between the 2 games. And now he has a tough matchup against the Texans. He's just a risky play. And if I have him, I'm probably looking elsewhere. If I need to, I'll still put him in there, but I'm looking for replacements for Travis right now.
Yeah, the Jags are the AFC version of the Chicago Bears, and Travis Hunter might be the Luther Burden.
Yeah. I don't know. He's seeing the field more than Luther. Luther's hardly even on the field. The Bears don't get me started on the way the Bears are handling their draft picks as of recently, because it's not great.
Yeah, I was just
not great.
I think Trevor Lawrence. I've always been a Trevor Lawrence guy because of his skill set and how good he is. But like I mentioned, like the Jags might just be another Bears. Like. They have the coach, they have the quarterback, but like, what's going on here? Why is this offense not looking better? First year, I think it should continue to get better, and Travis Hunter will be better. Brian Thomas will be better. Brian Thomas got a lot of shit about like alligator arms, but to be honest, like Trevor Lawrence throws him some horrible hospital balls.
Here's the question. I'm not going to ask Coles because I know Coles' answer. Shane, I'm going to ask you: are you worried about Brian Thomas Jr. right now?
No, I've been putting trade offers all week on
buy low. Yeah. I already know Coles' answer. Coles doesn't fall for the week 1, week 2 blunders. But I see a lot of people online pressing the panic button on Brian Thomas Jr. right now.
Go and get him if those are owners, because like I think Liam Cohen, the offense gets better throughout the year, but Trevor Lawrence, it has to click for him soon, and it's just like Caleb.
I feel like we've been saying that for a while.
By the end of the year, that's why they're the same team. By the end of the year, if you guys are not for sure that he is your franchise quarterback, then there's a serious problem there. There's red flags. Then you go find them.
Yeah, Caleb's got a few more years, but
no. If Caleb does not look like the guy at the end of this year, then he's a bust. But I think he's gonna. I think he already does look like it's clicking and he's the guy. The issue with Caleb Williams, if I'm a Bears fan, is if he doesn't slow the game down soon, like some guys just never can slow the game down. Anthony Richardson, perfect example. He can't process the game. He can't slow it down. That's why you see these missed throws with Caleb or these missed reads is like the game's going too fast for him. So if that doesn't slow down this year and soon, then that's going to be a problem. But,
I mean, I don't think Ben Johnson's going to put up with a year towards the end of the year where it doesn't work out and then completely going to next year with the same thing. Ben Johnson's not gonna tolerate.
He needs.
Yeah. So anyway, all right, moving on.
My red light wide receiver is going to be a surprise. I think Quentin Johnson.
Okay.
Are we surprised?
Huge.
Yeah, I like
huge, dude.
No,
I mean,
I'm not surprised because I think he gets the PS2 treatment.
If he does, then that is not good. If he doesn't and it ends up being Barron, that's not that much better. Obviously,
you think Huge would get the PS2 treatment?
I don't know. I
Maybe.
don't see. My assumption is PS2 doesn't travel to the slot and where they're moving McConkey all around, but maybe I think he's going to stick on the outside. But
Yeah, why not just cut off the deep ball threat? You just
Yeah.
chop the head off head off the snake, and then your deep. It doesn't matter. I want to.
Yeah.
That's what the point of my take is that I don't think it matters. Like, I think QJ is going to be a boom bust player, and he's going to have a lot of boom because I think Herbert's going to be a top 5 quarterback this year. I think I had him at like 6 preseason, and I just think that's going to be the Chargers are going to be one of the best teams in the AFC in the league. But he's going to have boom bust type games, and this will be a bust in my mind because I'm still a believer in the Broncos. This is a divisional matchup. It's going to be a close game. Chargers are due to show some vulnerability, and why not against one of the best defenses in the league in a divisional matchup? Do they lose? I think they could. Will they? I don't know, because I think Bo Nix is going to have sophomore struggles. So I think it's going to be a close game, and I think it's going to be lower scoring than it has been for the Chargers. It's not going to look as easy. That means QJ is not going to have his 60-yard touchdown.
Huge. I like the pick. I wasn't on my radar at all, but you're right, because people picked him up off the waiver wire after 2 good games, and they're going to want to start him. So good
I
point.
should have picked him up after game 1.
Yeah, but I'm sure he was on the waiver wire for week 2 in some leagues for sure. All right, are we moving on to green light wide receiver? Shane, you're good?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. My green light wide receiver, my main one is someone I'm just gonna skim past and talk about. My other one, because it's Rome Odunze. I greenlit.
He's number 1 on my list as well.
Yeah, I greenlit Caleb, so I hate doing the green light quarterback and wide receiver, but just what I want to say about Odunze, I called it in the offseason, and I didn't think it was going to happen as early as week 2, but Odunze looks like the wide receiver 1 for the Bears. And he looks phenomenal in week 2, and I think he's going to be the main beneficiary of this massive game against the Cowboys. But my other guy I wanted to talk about is Michael Pittman at Tennessee. I think Pittman has a good game this week. He was a red light last week. Ended up as wide receiver 64. He has got a solid matchup this week against the Titans. They're allowing the 5th most points to perimeter receivers right now through the first 2 weeks. And historically, Pittman has played the Titans 10 different times in his career, and he's averaging nearly 14 fantasy points per game. So I think Pittman's a solid play this week.
I'm going to back up to Rome because he was on my list as well. I wrote this down as another potential addition to the show, because you hear me say it all the time. I think we should consider doing a red light or a green light if you have something that you feel this strongly about. Game of the week, because I would start all Cowboys and all Bears. I think the Bears win that game. Truck and I were talking about locks, games that we thought were locks this week, and I didn't really want to talk about it until we had this episode. I think the Bears are a lock. I think the Eagles are a lock. But going back to the Bears Cowboys, I would start all Bears, all Cowboys, because I think it's going to be a shootout. And I could green light. I could green light all Caleb, Rome, Swift, like Pickens,
Colston Loveland.
Lamb. I do have Loveland as a green light. So
okay, all right. Well, Shane, who is your green light wide receiver?
Well, I'm just going to add a little context because I had the same guys. I had Rome and I had Pittman. I mean, if you didn't think I had Pittman, but what I seen the stat on Pittman was kind of like when I saw it, and I can't remember to who. Kind of eye opening. Last 15 games, Titans have allowed 15 wide receivers to have 7 targets a game, which is and have averaged about 18 fantasy points per game. Michael Pittman's been right around just under that, like 6 targets a game. When he got more than 7 targets in week 1, he was a top 8 wide receiver. I think he probably gets that target volume, and he's probably looking at another top 20 type fit. When I'm looking at guys, I'm starting him over like a Jalen Waddle. I'm starting him over Jamison Williams. That's the guys I'm starting.
Okay, I want to. I have Pittman on literally every single league that I either drafted for myself or other people. That was like, there's a few players where I told Truck, I was like, these are players that we need to walk out of. We have one redraft team together, so we'll talk redraft. And I said, there's a few guys that I need on every single one of my teams, and Pittman was one of them.
Tyler Warren, Emeka Egbuka, Pittman.
Debo is someone I loved.
Debo, yeah.
From where they were getting drafted and like what they could do for their team, like people just forgot about Pittman's talent, and sometimes that happens when they're just in a bad situation. I'm not going to say Garrett Wilson's in that situation because he's performed pretty well, but he's someone that like could be a wide receiver 1 in the right situation. Pittman's finally got a good situation. You're going to see these games, but I have them in all those. My point being was I wanted to give you a live example, Shane, because I have them on. I could pull out my phone and get all of the leagues, but this is the one that Truck and I run together. We have Pittman in a fucking stacked wide receiver room, but you can start 4 wide receivers. We have Jamar Chase, Tet McMillan, Debo Samuel, Emeka Egbuka, Keon Coleman, and then we have Rashee Rice when he comes back, but Michael Pittman. So who are you starting Pittman over with Keon, Debo, Tet, Chase?
I'm starting him over Keon. I don't think there's a large passing volume in that game against the Dolphins at home. I think that could be similar to what the Jets game was, where this is a lot of James Cook and Ray Davis.
Yeah, because they can. Okay, well, we need one more. Emeka Egbuka, Debo Samuel, Tet McMillan.
So I think you will have to pay attention. Egbuka is the one you can move off of if he's got questionable tag, limited snaps, perhaps. They were wrapping him. I mean, that looked like something decent.
I think, like, regardless, I would start him just because of I like that game better. You know, Truck, are you in with that?
I'm in with that. Yeah. So Pittman over Egbuka.
Yeah, I mean, like, I like Pittman this week. There's going to be games where you want to start them. I think this, as you guys mentioned, both on your green light list, this is one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. All right. Are we missing any green light wide receivers?
I had just probably another shocker one. And Matthew Golden, I think he gets going eventually. Surprisingly, his separation rate has been outstanding.
Yeah, it was.
Jaden Reed.
I saw that.
Why did you draft this guy in the first round if you're not going to target him or get him the ball? It's kind of the same. You heard me just say Loveland's a green light guy. Like, it's almost the same thing with Loveland. It's like, get him on the field and get him the ball. Otherwise,
they have to
fucking draft this guy.
Yeah.
In a game where I think they put up 35 plus points. Like, I just think Ben needs to get that going. But same thing with Golden is like Jaden Reed that's kind of like the role. I don't think of Golden as like an alpha wide receiver. I think of him as a widgety type Jaden Reed. He probably almost had 2 touchdowns if Jordan Love doesn't overthrow him last week. I could see them connect on one of those, but more so, I think he just gets targeted a lot more with Reed being out and kind of sliding into that role. I think he's a speedy guy that is a playmaker. So I think this is a week that you start Golden if you have one of those bad matchups. I might even start him over someone like Terry McLaurin.
Okay. All right. I can understand that. All right. We're going to move on to red light tight ends. I'll go ahead and start. I got 2 guys on here. I'll talk about the main one is Evan Ingram at the Chargers. Like, I don't know what
he's cuttable. You got to cut him.
Like, what happened to Evan Ingram?
Well,
dude?
Can I put some other guys in that category? Evan Ingram, Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
Is TJ Hawkinson there yet? Like, Hawkinson's probably not cuttable, but he had 1 target, 3 targets. Like, I think that's the same exact thing for Andrews. They're both outside of my top 12. So considering, like, depending on what your league looks like, I'm not starting those guys until I see something. I'm just not going to put up another goose egg with Andrews.
Yeah.
I'd rather go out and take a shot with someone. I saw Zach Ertz sitting there on our waiver wire Truck, and I was like, I'm starting Ertz. I don't care about, even if it's Mariota, like, he's going to get targets being that like check down type tight end. I'm just not taking a 0 anymore.
Zach Ertz is the tight end 3.
Yeah.
through
I mean,
through 2
He
weeks.
looked great. Did you see his touchdown last week?
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
He looks outstanding.
Yeah. So, tight end landscape is changing drastically. So, got to stay in tune with that. Shane, what do you got?
Yeah, and same thing. Like he was drafted around the same range as Evan Ingram, but you got to bench David Njoku. You can't
I was
start.
going to add him too.
Yeah, it's so frustrating.
I just don't think like you got Harold Fannin that is sharing the snaps and honestly looks as good, if not better. He was, I think, he had like 7 or 8 fantasy points in that loss to the Ravens, and where Joe Flacco threw it like 50 times.
Yeah,
volume's down. I just think it's time to pivot off of him.
definitely. All right, Coles, did you have any other ones you wanted to talk about before we move on to Greenlight?
No, I mean all
Okay.
those guys I
Yeah.
mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not taking zeros. I can't do that.
Yeah, no, you can't. No.
I think that the only thing you mentioned was Hawkinson. I want to see one game with Carson Wentz to see if it looks any better or different.
Yeah.
Very possible.
Like I have him in a dynasty league where I have Warren, and I was like, you can start 2 flexes, and I was flexing Warren and I was starting Hawk. Like I'm fully starting Warren, putting Hawk on the bench until I see it, and I'm adding a Diami Brown, just anyone. I'm not taking a zero.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my green light is someone we just talked about. It's Zach Ertz. The fact that we picked him up, he clearly has a connection with Jaden. It's not going away, even with Jaden out. I still think Ertz is a very viable, startable tight end right now, especially as tight end 3 through 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Shane, why don't you go ahead and get yours in before Cole's?
Okay, this guy's going to
10
be
of them or 12 of them.
Him as a top 5 tight end, and this is the example. This guy and Tucker Kraft are the guys that your evidence of waiting late for tight ends. It can pay off, and it's Juwan Johnson.
Yeah, not even drafted. I feel like he went undrafted in every league.
It's just like got one of the most valuable roles for a tight end. I mean, he's getting like true like wide receiver volume. He's gotten 20 targets in 2 weeks. He's just kind of established himself as that favorite for Spencer Rattler, and surprisingly, we've seen like Rattler and the Saints. I mean, obviously because they're not great, but they are throwing the ball a lot. Like it's averaging 40 pass attempts a game.
Yeah, they lost both games by 1 possession.
Yeah.
So they're hanging in there.
Yeah, they're scheming up plays for him. So
yeah, he's running a ton of routes. He's running a ton of routes. So yeah, I agree. Go ahead, Coles. Give us your long list.
I'm not going to rattle off a bunch.
Okay.
I'm more sour about the guys that I mentioned than bullish on the position right now.
Fair.
Loveland is someone I mentioned earlier. I think I will be beside myself if Ben Johnson doesn't get him going in a game like this where he should eat. Ben Johnson should do whatever the fuck he wants against that Dallas defense. Like if you watched that, all 3 of us watched the Giants because we were talking the Giants Cowboys game. Like they knew what was going to happen, that Neighbors was going to get behind the defense or Wandale was going to get behind the defense, and they still continue to let it happen. Like that's why Russell Wilson had 450 yards is because he can connect on the deep ball, and they just continued to somehow let that happen. Right.
And can I see real quick, who Dallas brings in a little bit on, especially third downs, and could end up covering a guy like Loveland or trying to cover him is former Bear Jack Sanborn. So, I mean, that is a matchup if you want to take advantage of.
Yeah. Who are you gonna get? Your number 10 overall tight end that you took before Tyler Warren, the first plant flag you had as a head coach, or Jack Sanborn? Like, please draw up some fucking plays for him. He's gonna draw up some of those Laporta sideline like wheel routes, and he's going to score a touchdown.
I really hope so, because we need to see it, and this has to be the matchup. And I'm setting myself up for devastation because because I'm so bullish on this game. I this is the game that it turns around. This is the game, the narrative where people have to acknowledge the greatness that is Ben Johnson's offense and Caleb Williams. Like it's bound to happen. And if it doesn't, I am going
against the Dallas team.
I am going to
don't
be
hype
destroyed.
yourself up too much, because the Bears' schedule does not look like there's a lot of wins on this schedule. Does that mean like they're going to be an auto loss against very good teams? No, because of what you just said. I think there's going to be games where they look really good and they deliver. And I think they're going to have an explosion, like you said, this week. But they're going to have a tough schedule. They have a very tough schedule. And you just need to see. If you don't see it this weekend against the Cowboys, then red flags start popping up. And if I'm
not mistaken, we have the Giants in week 4.
You have the Raiders in week 4.
Oh, the Raiders week 4. Okay, well, still, if we can get a solid game out of the Cowboys this week and beat the Cowboys and then
love it.
Well, I think we can string together.
Sure.
Yes, optimistically, yes.
You can be 2-2. Yes.
Going into the bye week, coming off of 2 solid offensive games.
Yeah. But then you're at Commanders. Then you get the Saints. All right, 3-3. Are we?
Really why do I
at Bengals?
Okay, stop. I get
Vikings.
it. I feel like every episode just turns into a Bears
at Eagles,
therapy session for me. Okay, I just
we need to stop that.
All right, but we do need to stop that.
But the point is, you got to get him more than one target.
He's got to be on the field. You just get him on the field at more than 50% of the snaps. Run 2 tight end sets. Cole Kmet looks great already. In the few games that we've played, but you got to get Loveland going. So that's enough of that rant. That wraps up
Kyle Pitts is someone that looks good. I think he continues to look good.
I'm glad you brought him up because he deserved to be mentioned. I was going to write him on my short list. I ran out of time, but Pitts was definitely on my mind for green light tight ends this week. So that's.
If we're signing out here, I want to recap a couple things. I think we should consider and green lighting the players starting over like we're starting this player over that. I think that should become a staple. And then that's what I got.
Okay. All right.
And then the green lighting a game of the week. If there's something like the Cowboys Bears that you like, green light that game. I think that's another, we can just talk about the game instead of having 3 players on our list and taking up a green light spot.
Yeah.
Green light this game. I have Caleb, I have Rome, I have Loveland. Start all your Bears, start all your Cowboys.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. All right. Well, that concludes our week 3 red light, green light. We are still unsuccessful at getting this episode under an hour, but I love every minute of it, and I'm glad we're doing it. Go ahead, Shane. Go ahead.
You're going to want to pick up Spencer Schrader and start him at kicker this week.
Okay. That's right. We do need a kicker segment because Shane says every single week, don't ban kickers, even though I completely disagree. But there you go. You got your kicker pickup and streamer of the week.
You that actually, I had to drop Evan McPherson and player, and this is actually a dynasty league, but not that it matters as much for kickers unless you have an Aubrey. But Butker, Gay, Carlson, Fairbairn, McManus, Jason Myers, Spencer Schrader, Will Lutz, dynasty kicker.
I dropped Will Lutz for Schrader, and so I don't know. I don't think it matters, but dynasty. But I mean, you look at Schrader, I think 15 and 16 points first 2 weeks. We all think that's
missed one, right?
Yeah, he missed
that. Yeah,
I think we all know that. We all agree. I think that's a positive game script for Colts over Titans.
Schrader.
Yeah, I do. I like that.
It's hard to not take Butker in that situation.
Yeah, Butker's that's a big game for the Chiefs to.
Yeah, I completely removed kickers from my memory. So when you said Schrader, I was like, Don't even know who that is or what team he's on, so
Dude,
couldn't care less.
Not
Cool.
that you care.
Great pick,
I
Shane.
I know you don't care,
Cool.
but I'm going to back up Shane here. He had 16 and 18, 3 for 3.
Okay. A little better than I thought.
He had three for 3 in extra points in game 1, 2 for 2 in extra points in game 2, 4 for 4 on field goals in game 1, 5 for 5 on field goals in game 2.
Sounds like he's a great pickup. I can appreciate some good stats.
The reason why he's so good right now is because Daniel Jones has never used his punter this year.
Well, I mean, it's scoring on every drive, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown. So, and I think that continues this week against the Titans. So,
they're poorly coached. This would be a game that you would normally hear me say like home dog, divisional dog, but I think that the Titans are poorly coached, and I think they have not figured out rookie quarterback. So I think the Colts are in an opportunity where like we can go 3-0. If the Texans beat the Jags, those two teams are at 1-2, and then we have Titans at 0-3. The Colts have not been in a position in a long time where after 3 weeks they can start looking how they size up against other AFC opponents as opposed to like focusing on the division and trying to win the division. That hot of a start. You just need to continue to get better, keep playing your game. And
I don't know about you guys, but I want to live in a world where the Colts are a legitimate team and Daniel Jones is in consideration for MVP when that time of the year comes around. Because if the Colts keep winning and they keep winning in this fashion, mark my words, Daniel Jones is going to be in consideration for MVP.
Even more so, though, like Jonathan Taylor will be the offensive player of the year.
Oh, for sure.
Like he's
Tyler Warren, rookie of the year.
He could be running back 1. Like he's got the talent. We've always known that. But if that offense is humming, he's going to be the one that gets it going every week. Daniel Jones is going to just continue to distribute the ball, and like JT's got that upside. That's just like what is going on.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. You guys are the best. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Follow us on socials, and follow the Substack, thefantasyroadshow.substack.com. You guys are the best. Check us out. Coles and I will be live Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube and X, and we'll see you then. Other than that, everybody buckle up.